There I was, having the time of my life. I vividly remember how the venue was packed with dance enthusiasts, how they cheered for every performance, and how thrilling of an experience it was to perform in front of a crowd.
It was definitely a great time, wasn't it? Being able to go outside and be surrounded with people without worries and restrictions felt so nice and freeing. I was a very active high school student. I loved joining competitions. Unfortunately, it was abruptly taken away from me when the pandemic started. The outside world was denied to us when the COVID-19 pandemic happened.
Welcome back to another episode of Two Cents. I'm your host, Nika and Cabanela.
And this is Krista Femaldrini giving you a new dose of our 2 cents about life. Today we'll be talking about life before, during, and after the COVID 19 global lockdown.
I remember the time when the first announcement of a lockdown for only 2 weeks was issued. We all thought it was going to last for 2 weeks, but surprisingly, it took longer than expected. The use of media in general became prominent in my life when the global lockdown started. From the moment that I wake up and up until I fall asleep, my phone is always glued to my hands. I would use it as a means to communicate with my friends and classmates whom I couldn't meet due to the restrictions of going out. We were communicating via instant messaging, audio, or video calls. The global lockdown made us closer to one another. Another thing is that I use the media as a means to pass time. With the lockdown still ongoing, we are limited to only doing things at home and everything every day. Slowly becomes boring because I would repeat the same routine unlike before. With the help of social media and the internet, I discovered multiple hobbies to spend my time like sketching, writing poetries, practicing dance moves that interest me, or doing some random TikTok dance challenge, and also watching anime. This continued on until the resume of classes through virtual meetings as they have implemented the new learning modality. During this time, online learning became challenging on my part. I wasn't the studious type of student and became reliant on media instead of studying seriously. I became lazier and would always cram my schoolwork, and as a result, I had lower grades.
When the lockdown started, I really struggled since I was so used to being outside for gymnastics and campus journalism training, school organization meetings, and other school activities. I wasn't really on my phone much pre-pandemic, but because we were forced to stay still inside our homes, I had no choice but to rely on television and cell phone to keep my sanity and still connect to the world, although just digitally. I started becoming active on the mainstream social media accounts and online platforms. I managed a fan account on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter to stay in touch with my family and friends and keep track of my favorite artists' activities and craft. I made a Spotify account to listen to my favorite music and was frequently on YouTube to watch their music videos. I made an account on TikTok and Netflix and watched TV to waste my time watching random videos or movies or anime when I get left with nothing else to do. It became an unhealthy routine. Eat, use my phone, sleep, and repeat. I refused to exercise because I was too bitter after Panorong Bicol 2020 was cancelled due to the pandemic. I acted nothing like myself.
Doesn't our situation remind us of something?
For the new listeners and viewers, we're actually journalism students. One of our subjects is communication theory. I think what Nika is trying to say is that our situation during the lockdown reminded us of one of the theories we learned, which is the uses and gratifications theory.
Hmm, I somehow forgot the concept of that theory. Can you remember the definition of that?
From what I remember, uses and gratifications theory explains that people actively choose and use media to fulfill specific gratifications or needs. It deals with understanding why people use certain types of media, what needs do they have to use them, and what gratifications do they get from using them. Applying this theory from our experience during lockdown, we use media in order to still be connected to the world. However, how we use media varies. We have multiple options as to how we spend our time using media daily. from opening a variety of social media apps to watching different types of shows depending on our mood, listening to different genres of music as we do our daily routine, and many more. We have the power to use media as to how we may benefit from it rather than the media influencing us, the users.
So you're saying that we youths use media for particular purposes and that we seek to get our needs satisfied by it?
Yes, exactly. It's the same as when we use Netflix because we wanted to watch anime. Another important point in this theory is that the exposure to media messages does not affect everyone in the same way and that it serves different purposes. This can be explained when we use TikTok.
I use TikTok to do some random dance challenges. You use TikTok to watch random clips that simply pass time, while others use TikTok as a platform to showcase their talents and personalities and connect to the world. I noticed even though the lockdown has ended and we're slowly going back to the face-to-face setup, we're still glued to our phones.
That is because we developed an emotional attachment with media. Being exposed to media or the internet for months without going outside has turned all of our attention to the digital world. Using media during the lockdown became an escape route for us from boredom and isolation. Now, we still use media when real life situations become too heavy for us.
So basically, people use media for different purposes, but it all leads down to satisfy our needs.
I think that's it for today's episode. Thank you for listening to today's podcast. I am Kristen Female Janine.
And I am Mikan Cabanela. See you next time as we give you another dose of our two cents.
Let's go!